Hello, you lovely, lovely people. And again, welcome back to today's little chit chat. And it's totally different today. It's about disturbing and quite upsetting things that you do notice living in the Philippines. And the longer you're here, the more you notice it. And this first topic, because there will be two, even three maybe today. But the first one is the lack of education, or maybe not the lack of, but the lack of willingness for some of the parents to actually put their children through education. And it normally happens in these places where I am, in these provinces, because the older generation, they used to have a lot of kids. Uh, I mean, there's a couple of families here with 12 or 13 kids. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Just totally, it's irresponsible, in my opinion, totally irresponsible, because they can't afford to bring them up, and the kids suffer, in my opinion. And suffer in the way of, when the kids get to a certain age here, even here where I am, I see it all the time. And I wonder why they aren't at school, when the school is on. So I was just, saying to my wife, I said, Mira, why aren't these kids all, like in school all the time? One of the reasons is the parents don't care, if they want to go to school, they will take the kids to school. If they don't, then they won't. So they'll stay at home or doing what they do. And the other one is because their families are quite large, they haven't got the money to sustain the family needs. So what they do, they normally get the kids to go to work. I see it here on farms, they go farming, on construction at 15, 16 years old. So they aren't encouraged for an education. They are encouraged to drop out of school to help their families who weren't responsible in the beginning for having so many kids and for thinking about the futures. And I think that's terrible. I really do. There is a law here where from 5 years old, the children, they must go to school, but it can't be followed through by the the authorities here, because I see kids off school all the time. Either they're playing on cell phones, or they just working on construction, like I said, or helping on the farms. So again, this is why we've got this generation and probably many generations where the Philippines will not move on, because these future kids, these are the future of the country. And if they're not going to school and they're not really interested in education, or even if they are interested in education, the parents aren't interested in sending them, because they would rather have the kids home or working somewhere to bring in a couple of hundred pesos a day to feed the family, which is terrible, like I said. Perfect example of this, where I keep my boat over at Sawang, the guy who I used to go fishing with, he's a really nice man, he was, and he was a good boatman. And his father was a drinker, always drinking at Calafia and Tandawai. And this particular Sunday, we'd just come back from fishing on the beach, and his father was there drunk. And anyway, to cut a long story short, his father and my friend Jewel, they ended up having a fight. Not through my friend's fault, but through his father's fault, being drunk and just being very insultive towards him. So they had a big fight, and his father even got a knife to his son. He was going to stab his... I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So like I said, he's quite disturbing in places. So anyway, what happened was his son moved away. He's now in Manila. And his son was working, and he was giving money to his father before he went to Manila. Now he's in Manila, doesn't give anything to his father, and fair play to him. But what happened was, he had two daughters as well, the father. And they were going through education. And one was almost ready to graduate. And because my friend had moved to Manila and stopped supporting them because of the fight, he's told his daughter, the father told his daughter, and there's ants biting me, to stop, come out of education and go and work so she could feed the family. Oh, I couldn't believe it. So that's what's happening there now, and that's still going on to this day. Now, there's another thing as well, what's a little bit more seedy, I suppose, is the pokpok. And many Filipinos will know that word. It's a detrimental word, but it means prostitute. Okay. And a lot of this happens here in the Philippines. I haven't seen it here in the provinces, but you see it in cities, mainly at the port, you know, the Pantalands, places like this where like a lot of people gather, you know, the ports, places like that. Maybe it's even outside of airports, I don't know, but I think it's more controlled there. But here, I've seen it myself. I used to go and buy shrimp from the port in Galas, which is Dipolog. When I lived in Dipolog, that was. And this one particular morning, early morning it was, I went there, it was about 4:30 in the morning to get these shrimp because I was going fishing with live shrimp. And I was paying the lady, and this girl was, don't know where she come from, but she was right beside me. And I can't, you know, she tapped me on the shoulder. I looked around and she smiled, no teeth, which, you know, that's, you know, neither here nor there to the story. But that was a bit of a shock. And I thought, you know what, she's very friendly. Me being naive, again, I'm naive. And the lady I was buying the shrimp box, she said, it's pok. I said, you know what's a pok? And she said, prostitute, a what? And I said, yeah, you know, so what you doing? She's coming to buy shrimp from you? She says, no, she's coming for you. Nah. So anyway, I kind of observed this more and more of these, and most of them guys are really, really young. I mean young where it's underage. And I said to my wife again about this. This was a couple of years ago, guys. You know, it wasn't recent. So, you know, this topic that I'm talking about, the pok is not a recent topic, like a recent thing. And I said to her, I says, Mira, there's all these prostitutes down at Galas at the pier. I said, every time I go down for the shrimp and I go fishing down there, they're everywhere. And I said, they're very young. And I said, you know, what would the parents think of that? And she said, Stephen, most of the parents put them to do it. I said, you're joking. No. Many of the parents know what their kids are doing because they are bringing the money back for them. Not all, of course, not all. So, like I said, disturbing things. And all through poverty. But most of it is not the country's fault, in my opinion. It's the parents' fault for not thinking ahead about how much these children are going to cost. Okay? And many of the fathers here drink. They do. They drink and they just, you know, they go to work, they get the day's salary, come back, drink the money. If the wife's lucky, they might have some money left to get some rice, if they're lucky. But that doesn't happen often either. You know, a lot of the men think of themselves. Not all. Again, this is, I don't know the percentage people. I really don't. But so this is why, you know, the Philippines is like it is. I think is because of the poverty. Some by, you know, it's people. Because if you want to work, there is plenty of work here for people. You know, you see it in the shop windows everywhere. Tindahan wanted, what do you call them? Tindera wanted. There's jobs everywhere here, but many people don't, you know, they don't want to work. They just want to laze around and, you know, rely on others, especially the children who, like of these families who end up in, you know, foreign countries as overseas Filipino workers. You know, the parents here rely on that money. It's terrible. It's terrible. I mean, if you can't work, like you have a disability or something, or you know there's something physically wrong where you can't work, then yes, you know, maybe you expect a bit of support from your family. But if there's nothing wrong, then why aren't you working? Why won't you get off your ass and help yourself instead of relying on on other people, and that I was being stung by a bee. Ooh, I think it's a lamb pin. It was hurting that. It's okay. Ooh, he's hurting. That's like a red hot poker going through my arm. So yeah, and the longer that you do stay in the Philippines, the more you see it. When I was in Cebu and I was doing my 13A, and it was the evening time, driving back in a taxi to the port to catch the Starlight. Is it the Starlight? You know, that goes from Cebu to Dapitan. Starlight or Starline or something, I don't know. And the taxi driver was driving through this slum, and he said, friend, he says, you know, like, do you want a pok pok? I said, no, I don't want a pok pok. He said, oh, you can have any age you want. You can have any age, 13. I said, my goodness. So this taxi driver was a kind of pimp, because he knew, you know, and obviously people do take him up on this, but it's just disgusting, people, you know. It's disturbing and upsetting that this thing goes on, and it's not hidden. It's right in front of you. You know, like, are you going down to the port, and you're going through these slummy areas, and you just see the girls walking, and the kids, people, they are kids. Parents, and some of the parents know, and some of the parents approve, and the worst of it is, some of the parents encourage it. You know, just something that I could never really understand, and I can't accept it. I don't have to accept it, but I just, you know, it's one of them things, guys, when you live in these kind of places, I suppose. But yeah. Did you hear about the Chinese student from Manila? He was going to a British school, and he was kidnapped. And the kidnappers, Chinese on Chinese, apparently. The Chinese kidnapped this Chinese kid who was at a British school. They killed the driver, and they chopped off the top of this 14-year-old boy, he was. They chopped off his finger, the top of his finger, and sent it to his parents. You know, you just think, Jesus Christ, this is like triad stuff, you know, from the triads. And anyway, I think 4 days ago they found the boy, because the people who kidnapped him, the police were onto them, and they just dumped the boy off in a busy place. So he's being found safe, minus a part of his finger. And the reports were saying, because this the current administration, they've closed all of these pogos, you know, these online gambling places. So many of these Chinese dudes who used to work in these places are looking now for the means of easy money. Kidnapping is one of them. But yeah. So, you know, the Philippines is a great place, fantastic place. But you don't have to know what goes on, you don't have to understand what goes on, but you know, when you do realise what does go on in some of these places, it does make you a bit sick. And it does sicken me. The thing that sickens me is the parents not having their responsibilities and not thinking about the futures. They don't care about their futures of themselves, and they don't care about their futures of the children. They just keep knocking children out. I think this generation is different. They don't have so many kids. Oh, he's my little boy. Look. Say hello. Hello. Anyway, thank you, people. If you like the video, like we all say, please subscribe, like and share. Thank you for taking the time to listen, guys. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.